Good morning, everyone. Good morning. We are beginning the day with charity. Tzedakah tatzil mimovet. It saves from bad things and it brings the geula, the future redemption. Now we're going to learn, continue. We learned yesterday in Parshat Chayesor. Parshat, we're here. What happened? 1 minute, 1 minute. Here we go. Yeah, okay. Okay, so Sora, last week's Torah portion, Sora dies. In this week's Torah portion, Abraham is looking for a grave. And he finally finds a grave, and it's at a place called Marat HaMachpelah, the cave, which is doubled. Machpelah means to be doubled. So as we said before so many times, and we'll keep saying, that the Torah is not a religious book or Judaism. It is that, but that's only secondary. Secondary. The main thing of the Torah is to explain what is the purpose of man. What do you call it? The meaning of life? Oh, the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? So that's what the Torah is here for, to explain what is the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? Meaning of life is to serve the creator of life. Right? And so first of all, we have to, just the question, what is the meaning of life, implies that everybody knows that there's a question. There's a question. There's something that's not obvious over here. Something that's not obvious. And there are, of course, some people that say, well, there is no meaning. It's just, it's just a meaningless question. Not a meaningless question. But Judaism says, no, it's not so. That everybody really is asking themselves this question. Everyone somewhere down deep, they want to know, why are you here? And even if the reason you're here is that there is no reason, that's also sort of answering the question. But the question still remains the question. Right? The question. So there's a lot of different answers to this question. And basically, all religions come to answer this question. What are we doing here? And Judaism has a totally different answer than anybody else. And one reason we see this different is because as soon as you give this answer, all of a sudden people start to hate you. Right? These other religions say, we are the chosen ones. Nobody hates them. Nobody hates these other religions because they say, we are the way, only I am the way. You have to read my book and the other books are wrong. Nobody hates these people because of that. They say, we got our own religion. But Judaism comes and says, no, we have the answer. And all of a sudden everybody hates them. What do you hate them? Just mind your own business. Just ignore them. Just ignore the Jews. You ignore the Zoroastrians and the Hindus and everybody just has their own religion. What's you gotta hate everybody? And who hates Buddhists? You hate Buddhists. Right? No, Jews, you hate them. Not only do they people hate the Jews because of this meaning that they brought into the world, but they even hate Jews that don't even know this meaning. they don't even believe it themselves. They hate them. Okay. So what is this meaning that the Jewish people are bringing into the world that is so agitating to everybody, right? And it's so, how do you say, irritating to people that no one can ignore it, and no one ignores it. Right? Everybody's against Israel. They're against. What are you against Israel for? Why not be against? There's massacres occurring all over the world. They're massacring Christians in Sudan and Nigeria and these places. Nobody, who cares, right? Maybe let's talk about it a little bit. Nothing is done. A Jew throws a rock at an Arab. This is the worst thing. They kill us, no problem. No problem. Why do we deserve it? But wait, someone kill them. Ooh, this is the worst in the world. What's going on? What's the thing with Jews? This is because the Jews want to make this world permanently godly. Permanently. It's not a take it or leave it thing. The Jews want to make this world permanently. And what's one of the indications of this? The land of Israel belongs to the Jews permanently. There's no other country that belongs to the people there permanently. Every country in the world exists today because somebody conquered it from somebody else. You can't. England permanently belongs to the whatever is the Normans or the Saxons or whatever. Not talking about a country that conquers another country. That a new country belongs to. Is a new one. Not with the Jews. The Jews, the land of Israel is permanent. The same thing as the laws of the Torah are permanent. They are unchanging. Human beings have a permanent, absolute, objective purpose that cannot be changed, and that is to serve the Creator. Everyone in the world, everyone in the world, it is forbidden for everyone in the world to steal, to murder, to have incest, right? Homosexuality. These things are forbidden for everyone in the world. But forget about getting punished. We're talking about what is right and what is wrong. We're not talking about getting punished. I mean, it could be a person does something, according to the Torah, a person could do bad his whole life, do one good thing, and that could turn the whole thing around. Only God knows how to measure. So let's talk about that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about what is right and what is wrong. And the Jews come to the world with absolute right and wrong, and that's basically what this is talking about. This idea of Marat HaMachpelah, that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they brought this absolute values into the world to serve the creator of the universe. The creator of the universe is unchanging, and he's creating everything from love. But on the other hand, to respond properly to this love is we have to go according to the manufacturer's instructions. So that's the idea of this Marat HaMachpelah, and we're going to see this in a moment. Marat HaMachpelah, the doubled over grave. So the Rebbe says, what's this thing of doubled over? So it says that there were in the Holy Temple, there was a Holy Temple. The Holy Temple, that was the prototype of a godly world, physical being holy. That was the Holy Temple. And that's the goal of Judaism. That's the goal of the creation, to make this world. And we see everybody resists it, so it's not something that's very obvious. It's a very hard task, difficult task. That was the whole idea of the Holy Temple. And even now that the temple is destroyed, temporary, we're waiting for the third temple, we still pray in the direction of the temple because we remember that that is the goal of mankind, that the whole world has to be like a holy temple, namely that the physical world reveals godliness. But what type of godliness? Oh, so the godliness that was revealed even in the temple was doubled over, and it was very weak. It was like a copy of real godliness. That's kafila, means it was doubled. It was not the real thing. It was just like a imitation. Imitation. And not the real thing. They have in like there are people who are experts, the painters, what is it called? Artists, and they can draw an exact replica of a painting. A replica. Oh, that's the word, replica. Replica. Right? Sometimes they go into art museums. It says, here's a picture of Mona Lisa, right? The picture is it's worth, at least $20 billion, $1 trillion. It's priceless, right? There's no price on it. You want to buy it? Okay, $1 trillion we'll take it for it. Somebody looks at it and says, it's a replica. It's not true. What do you mean? Says, look, see down at the bottom, the guy signed his name over here, Joe Schwartz. He signs his name. It looks exactly the same thing, but it's not. If it's the real thing, it's worth $1 trillion. If it's a replica, then it's worth $1,000 or something like that, right? Maybe if it was the center of the news, it would worth $10,000. Right? Not the real thing. The same thing as the godliness that was in the temple, that was in the Holy Temple. It was watered down godliness. I mean, it was godliness, but it was still. And that's the idea we're going to see. That's the idea that's the idea of kafila. It was like a replica of godliness. Of course, it was a replica that was made by God himself, but it wasn't true essential godliness. Okay, that's what we're getting to now. So the Rebbe says this was especially manifested in the 12 loaves of bread that were in the face bread, which was in the Holy Temple. We talked about this yesterday. There were 12 loaves of bread. There was a special table. It was opposite where the menorah was. Menorah was with the candelabra. It was standing on the ground with 7 branches. Well, opposite that, in the room that was called the Holy, not the Holy of Holies, the Holy, was a 6-layer table. On each layer was 2 loaves of bread. There were 12 loaves of bread altogether. That was called the 12 breads from which came and the nourishment, the whole entire world. 12 loaves of bread. So the secret, what is the secret of these 12 loaves of bread? What's the secret of these 12 loaves of bread? When you go into the Holy Temple, you're going to, what are 12 loaves of bread doing over there, right? It's like going into the Holy of Holies and there's a birthday cake or something. What is that doing there? What's it got to do with holiness? But you can understand that they ate them in this ritual. No, they're just there. The truth that the Kohanim did eat them. At the end of the week, they changed it. The main thing was that the fact that they were there. That they were there. That was more important than their eating. They had a special table for them and a special place. It was an essential part of the Holy Temple. Okay, so here we have the 12 loaves of bread. And the 12 loaves of bread, they're the ones that are going to manifest this doubled over, this copy, what did I say? The replica of godliness in the world. Watered down godliness. So that was hinted at by the Arizal, the great Kabbalist. He lived about 400 years ago, and he wrote a poem that we will see on Shabbat, and it says, Yagalilon Tamid the Brisna Sarnami, I will reveal to you the reason for the 12 loaves of bread, kafila uklisha, that's what it says. Kafila uklisha, they were doubled, that comes from Marat Machpelah. Machpelah is doubled. Doubled over means it's like a replica of godliness, a replica. It's not the, so to speak, the real thing. It's just a replica of the real thing. And kalisha and weak. Okay. So it says, let's see. Okay, so the Rebbe explained like this. So the purpose of Judaism then is to reveal the Creator in the creation, so that everyone knows who we're working for. The purpose of Judaism is to tell the world that we're here to serve God, and that God is ultimate truth and good, and with this ultimate good and truth, we want to reveal in the world. We want to reveal in the world. That's done mainly by Torah and the commandments. That's what happened. That's the novelty of the Jews being in Egypt. They got out of Egypt. They got the Torah. When the Torah, God revealed himself in the world. And then he told them how to build the holy temple that was a tabernacle, so it would be revealed here permanently in the world. And from that, it would be an example that would be spread out into the whole entire world, so that people would know why they're being created. They would feel their creator. Feel the creator. Okay. So one of the lessons that there was in this holy temple, so you'll be able to feel your creator, were the 12 loaves of bread. 12 loaves of bread. And these 12 loaves of bread have a big secret behind them. And this secret will only be revealed in the days of the Moshiach. That's what we're going to get to. We didn't get to this yet. The secret, but the secret of the 12 loaves of bread is the secret of why we're being created, and in order to reveal God. And what is this exact revelation of God? Oh, so that's who we're getting to know. So the Rebbe says like this: the Jewish people have this thing called Shabbat. Shabbat. A non-Jew is not supposed to keep Shabbat. Shabbat is only for the Jews. It's one of the 10 commandments, fourth of the 10 commandments. What happens on Shabbat? What are you supposed to do on Shabbat? Very little. What are we supposed to do on Shabbat? Almost nothing. Almost nothing. The main thing of Shabbat is not to do things. That's the main thing of Shabbat. You're supposed to honor Shabbat. There's special prayers for Shabbat. You're supposed to have a nice meal on Shabbat, right? All the meals you're supposed to have are supposed to, they're holy. But the main thing of Shabbat is, and just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Shabbat is the day that God is revealed in the world. Shabbat. And therefore, don't mess it up. Don't try to be the boss. Don't write. Don't make fire. Don't cook. Don't sew. There's 39 general categories of work that are forbidden to do for a Jew to do on Shabbat. Because Shabbat is like a perfect day. Shabbat. And Shabbat is when God is revealed from above to below, so to speak. God reveals himself on Shabbat. It's only for the Jews. Only for the Jews that feel this. But eventually the whole world is going to feel it. That's a little bit like what the Holy Temple is. Okay, so excuse me. Okay, so here with now the 12 loaves of bread is food, right? Food. So one of the main ways that we make God revealed in the world is by using the world according to the way God wants. Huh? Like you have a piano, right? If you use the piano, if you nobody knows how to play a piano, it just really gets in your way. I mean, pianos are pretty big, they're heavy. You can't move them around. You have a piano in your house and nobody knows how to play it. It's just like, it's like an elephant in your house. An elephant doesn't move, like a dead elephant, a sleeping elephant. Oh, you don't know what to do with it. What are you supposed to do with it? A big piano. But if you know how to play it, then it's very nice. The same thing is with the world. The world, if you know how to play the world, then the world becomes a very, very beautiful and a meaningful thing. That's supposed to be what we do on the weekdays. On the weekdays is we use the world properly. We use the world properly. And there's nothing worse than a person doesn't know how to play the piano. You know the joke, this person says, I have a piano in my house and it tells the time. You can tell the time with my piano. How can you tell the time? Come over to my house, comes over to his house, he starts playing the piano, banging away. And the next door neighbor says, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. What are you playing that thing for? And you don't know how to play, so it just makes noise. It's terrible. It's terrible. But if you do know how to play, then it's very nice. Then it's a very pleasant thing, right? Same thing as with the world. If you know what to do with the world, then you reveal something new in the world, harmony, etc. But even more, you can reveal if you go. That's if you go according to the instructions of Brahms or Chopin or something. Then you reveal Chopin in your piano. But if you go according to the instructions of God, then you reveal God in the world. That's the job of the Jews. So the Rebbe said, on the weekdays we work. On Shabbat, that's so to speak like God plays the piano. God is the one that is the boss on Shabbat, not us. On Shabbat, we have to work. And on Shabbat, there is what's called waste products. There's good and there's bad. That's from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But on Shabbat, it sort of shines the tree of life. This is only for the Jews, right? This is what's written is for only for the Jews. But the Jews are only for the world. We're public servants. The Jews are here for the whole world, to benefit the whole world. That's why we're here. But a lot of people don't want to be benefited. They just want, okay. Like if you ever tell an alcoholic, right? You want to benefit him and stop him, you'll see it doesn't go so easy, right? Go to an alcoholic and say, listen, you're wrecking yourself up. Don't stop drinking. He'll say, oh, yes, you're right. I'm going to stop. He'll say, get away from me. Leave me alone. Right? You might get a punch in the face because people don't want to change. They don't want to be better. This is opposition to Judaism. People don't want to improve. They don't want to be according to the way God says. But okay, the weekdays, it says there is waste products. That's this hatred of the Jews, etc. But on Shabbat, let's go. Here we go. On Shabbat, oh, but Shabbat. Oh, but Shabbat, but on Shabbat, this is on the weekdays, or especially on Yom Tov, you're supposed to invite guests to your house to use the food properly. Avo b'Shabbat, on Shabbat, the lo yahiv l'michsken, even on Shabbat, even if you don't invite any poor people over, ein onish rav, there is no big punishment because Shabbat, ein perish kalal, on Shabbat there is no waste, there's no bad in the food. The fishu rak bechin is tamshacha, because on Shabbat everything is coming down from above to below. Shalo yagur chora on Shabbat is a little bit of a taste of what's going to be in the future. So that's what we get now on Shabbat. We get a drawing down of godliness automatically on Shabbat. Hine, Hamshachazu, this drawing down of godliness on Shabbat is in two levels. Actually, it's sort of two steps. Kefila and Kalisha, doubled and weak. Kefila means like, in Hebrew also there was the kafil, means like a double, an imposter, a copy, a kafil. They say like important people, they have a kfil. The president says he has people that look exactly like him or something like that, and they go to a place to test if there's going to be. The kafil means not the real thing. Kafila and kalisha means very weak. What is kalisha? Kalisha, says the Rebbe, is that's how godliness is drawn down into the world in a very weak way. Now, God's name is 4 letters. This idea of revealing God in the world, there's like 4 steps to do this. And that is hinted at in God's name. God's name is Yud, and then Hey, and then Vav, and then Hey. Again, Judaism is trying to get the point across to the world that God is doing everything. He's doing it all. He's creating us. He's providing for us. He forgives us. He gives us the Torah. He loves us. He enlivens us. Everything, God is doing it all. Just miraculously, he wants us to be his partners in this. Want us to be his partners. Okay. So if God is doing it all, why don't we see it? So he says that's the point. God is doing it all, and he wants us to see it, but he can't give us too much of the revelation. When it happened on Mount Sinai, everybody died. So God doesn't want that. In the holy temple was God. God's essence was in the world, but there was one room where God's like the essence of the essence that nobody could go into that room. Only the high priest, and he can only go in for a few minutes, whatever it is, on one day of the year, because it was too much. So in order to reveal godliness in the world, God has to sort of water down his godliness. That's what's called kalisha, called weak. And this is drawing down from the Yud of God's name to the Vav of God's name. God's name has 4 letters in it: Yud, and then Hey, and then Vav, and then Hey. So the Yud is the first letter, so to speak, of God's name. That shows how God has the ability to limit himself, make himself small. Yud is the smallest letter. And from the Yud comes the letter Vav. Now, if you've seen in the Hebrew alphabet, the letter Vav looks just like a Yud, but it just has a long tail that comes down. So it says that from the letter Yud, from God's ability to make himself small, so to speak, to contract his light, not himself, but his light, to contract his light, to hide over his light, from that can come God being drawn into the world. That's the letter Vav. So the highest, most intense aspect of God, that's the Yud. That's just as God is sort of contracting himself. That's, if you want to say it, it's like electricity when it's in the socket, when it's in the wall. It's a very contracted aspect of electricity, but it's very powerful. You know, you put your finger there, you're in for a terrible surprise. And that's like the letter Yud. The Yud is the sort of the source of godliness coming into the world, but that source, how it is in its source, the ability of God to contract, Yud. And from that comes the letter Hey, but we're going to see that's the first letter Hey of God's name, and that cannot come into the world. That's too big. Then there comes the letter Vav. That's after the first letter Hey, and the letter Vav is like a line that shows how God, yes, is able to come down. Shemiyud, that from the letter Yud comes the letter Vav. That shows how God comes. Now, God wants to come into the world. He wants to be revealed here. That's the whole purpose. Like generally in education, right? Education. Every normal country has an education system. Education system is, there's grades. It's just, you don't just start off 12th grade, high school. You start off with first grade, second grade, but the goal is to get to the 12th grade. The same thing, God wants to be revealed in the world. He wants us to get to 12th grade, but he realizes we can't. So he has to reveal his godliness very, very small. This ability for God to make his revelation small, that's the Yud, and to bring it down into the world, that's the letter Vav. That from a letter Yud becomes Vav. That the Vav itself is drawn down, that the Yud itself is drawn down and made Vav. So it's godliness as it's coming down. Now it's coming down into the world. Kilafishia Yud, because the letter Yud is Tzimtzum, it's contracted godliness. Therefore, because it's contracted, it is able to come down and become the letter Yud, Vav. It can come down into the world. Again, the holy temple was a place where God was revealed. But don't think that that's God. That's just a revelation of God. That's just an aspect of God. That's just, I want to call it a weakness. That's the Kalisha. That's how God weakens his revelation, so it makes it accessible to us. That's from the Yud itself. But it's not the Yud, although that letter Hey is the first letter Hey of God's name, Shui Spashlus Oroch Barochev, which that is spreading out wide and long of godliness. Any Spashlus Oroch Barochev, that Hey of God's name from above cannot come down and be revealed below like it is above. So the letter Yud of God's name, the first letter, which that's the highest, but nevertheless that indicates God's desire to come down. That's Yud, to how do you say, to limit himself, to make himself weak. That's the letter Yud. From that can come the letter Vav down. The second letter of God's name, which is Hey, that shows how God has the desire to be expanded, infinite. That's the infiniteness of God. That can't be revealed here in the world. The infiniteness of God, that's the letter first Hey, the first Hey. That's the infinity of God, if you want to call it. That's the true nature of God being revealed. That's too much for the world. This is too high. It can't come down. I said, Ella, Hamshacha comes down. How is it revealed in the world then? How is the letter Vav that God wants to come into the world? That's the last Hey of God's name. Yud, and then the Hey. The first Hey is too big, too much, can't be revealed in the world. From that comes a Vav. The Vav is a line coming down into the world. And what do we get down here in the world? We get the last Hey of God's name. And that's going to be revealed in the 12 loaves of bread in the Holy Temple. That's the 12 loaves. Lamata. And Vehi Bechinas Milui, but it's not by accident that the second Hey of God's name is the same shape as the first Hey of God's name. Because in fact, it is filling up the letter Hey of God's name. We talked about this yesterday. The world is created from God's letters. So the letters are not part of the world. The letters as we have them are of course part of the world. A person writes letters, creates letters. But the letters of God, we are a product of them. They're not a product of us. So these letters are are units of godly creative energy. The letters of God, and especially the letters of God's name. That from the letters of God's name, that's where the whole entire olive base comes from, that God created the whole world with. Excuse me. So the first Hey of God's name, that is, so to speak, God revealed. God revealed in his full glory. The letter Hey is wide, it's long, it's big. That's the first revelation of God, but it's just too much for this world. But within that letter Hey, if you want to pronounce the letter Hey, so you have to fill it up. And there's three ways to fill up the letter Hey: with a Yud, Hey, with a Yud, with an Aleph, Hey, with an Aleph, or with a Hey, Hey, two Heys. Says the Rebbe, the second Hey of God's name is just what was contained inside of the first Hey of God's name. Inside of the first Hey of God's name was the ability for the first Hey to be revealed in the world. It's sort of like thought and speech. Inside of your thoughts are too much to be revealed in the world, but they can be revealed by means of speech. So the second Hey, that's like speech, and the first Hey is something like thought. So the second Hey is like just a replica of the first Hey. That's the kafila. That's the double. That's the filling of the letter Hey. Like it's known, that's the idea of Marat Amachpela. That's what we're talking about, the Machpela of where Sora is buried. That's what's being hinted over here. By the way, Marat Amachpela is in Hebron. It's in Hebron. And it says that all the prayers that we pray, the Holy Temple, they come through Hebron first. Right? That seems a little bit weird, but you have to remember this world is very important to God. And even more, God eventually, we'll see in the end, is more revealed in this world than all the upper worlds. That's the whole point of this business. That's the point of Judaism, is to reveal God in this world more, infinitely more, than all of the upper higher worlds. all the heavens. Okay, so what do we got now? We have nowadays, we have a very weak revelation of God. It's just a imitation of true godliness, the weakness of godliness. That's what's called kalisha, and the imitation part of it is the revelation of the second hay from the first hay. That's what we have now, and that's in the 12 loaves of bread. Weak revelation, W-E-A-K. Achbad calls it all this that we are receiving by means of these 12 loaves of bread now. That's talking about now. When this whole revelation of God is limited to the Holy Temple, and it's only in these loaves of bread, and it's a very, very weak revelation, and it's just an imitation of really what godliness is. But when Mashiach comes, which is supposed to be any instant now, I mean, the fact is Mashiach is already here, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, he's the Mashiach. But the Geula, the redemption, where everybody sees and feels godliness, that's going to be a different step in what Mashiach is supposed to do. That's the goal of Mashiach. Mashiach is going to bring down the third temple. The third temple is going to have all of these big secrets revealed in their source. It says Avavlated level, but in the future, Yegalalan Tame, we will see the reason, the inside reason. Right now we have the letter Hey is revealed, but the letter Hey that we have now comes from the big Hey. Then we're going to see the reason of these 12 loaves of bread. Then it won't be doubled. The letter Hey won't be doubled. We won't get light from the second Hey. Raka Hey Atzma, the first Hey of God's name itself, which is above, that will be revealed. Lagilo Lamata will be revealed here. That is the reason for the weak and the imitation godliness that we have now in the world, which is revealed in the 12 loaves. In the third temple, it'll be revealed pure godliness. What this means, I have absolutely no idea, but nevertheless, it's impossible to understand. This is above understanding, right? Like nobody understands what is life. Where does life come from? Well, in the future, we're going to see what life is. We're going to see the source of life. And that's what's going to be revealed. Nowadays, it's just kafila kalisha. That's what the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob succeeded in revealing in the world. But they prepared the world, Martha Machpelah, they prepared the world for this bigger revelation. Yigala Lan Tama, then will be revealed the reason, the hidden godliness which is inside of these 12 loaves of bread. Like it says, in that day, God will be one and his name will be one. It won't be Yud. God's name won't be Yud, Hey, and then Vav, Hey. It'll be 2 times Yud, Hey. The Yud and the A and the Yud and the A, that the upper 2 letters of God will be revealed below also. It'll be also Yud, Hey, Vav. Good? Good. And tomorrow we'll start off the second one. Let's just begin a little bit. So we have like a few minutes left over. Let's do it. Here we go. Oh. Lahavin Inyan. This is tomorrow we'll do this. This is to understand what it says in the Torah. It says that Abraham was old, coming in days. Abraham was old, and reaching in days. What it means? Full of days. When he was old, so he was old, he had a lot of days. What does it mean that he was old and he was full of days? What is the Torah trying to tell us? So we're going to understand this. The Havin Inyan Mashomer Azal, to understand why what the rabbis say. Yofe Sha Achat, it is better, one moment, Betshuva and Maisim Tovim, of returning to God and doing good deeds in this world is better than all of the life of the worlds to come. Now, if you know a little bit about the worlds to come, which I know a little bit, as I'm going to tell you now, and then you're also going to know as much as me. The world to come are these levels of heaven. We just finished learning about how God weakens his revelation come down to the world. We have no idea how weak God's revelation is in this world. But the upper worlds, it's also weak, but not like here. In the upper worlds, we see a revelation of God. You see a revelation of God. Here you don't see anything. And all you do, you see, you feel yourself in this world. In the upper worlds, when your body isn't interfering, it's sending all sorts of false messages to your soul, your body, and trying to distract you from godliness, from the truth. So when a person dies, so his body isn't doing all those negative things. So then you feel godliness. And if you did good deeds, then you feel a higher level of godliness. And if you did good deeds with right intention, then it's even a higher level, pure godliness you feel. Pure godliness. Infinite pleasure. What is God? God is pleasure. God is truth. God is life. You feel infinite pleasure, infinite truth, infinite life in heaven. And there's levels of heaven. You thought that was infinite? I'm going to show you what infinite is. There's the lower heaven, the upper heaven, all these levels of heaven. Infinite pleasure. People in this world go berserk for like an hour of pleasure, or 5 minutes of pleasure, where they take a drug, they take a this. They're willing to do anything for this little stupid pleasures. They have a little bit of money. They have power. They win the elections. They win this. They're just on they win their game. They won the championship. Everybody's happy. They're rolling in the streets. They're going berserk happy. If you take that and multiply it by, let's say, 10 million, that's what 1 second of the world to come is like. Infinite pleasure with this. Says the Rebbe, take all of those pleasures of the world to come, all of them. It's not like 1 moment of doing good deeds in this world. Now, does that make any sense? Does that make any sense? That is truly, I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever. The idea that we get pleasure after we die could be. I mean, it could be. We're going to die. Everybody's going to die. There must be something up there. So why not pleasure? Huh? Why not pleasure? Could be nothing. Could be who knows what, but it could also be pleasure. So why not? And the religions believe you're going to get pleasure. So I'm going to go for that. I'll go for pleasure. But that's what I want. Says the Rebbe, Judaism says that 1 good deed in this world is worth all of the pleasure in the worlds to come. And we don't feel anything. So how could that possibly be? What is Judaism trying to tell us? This and much more we will learn tomorrow. Okay, now let us learn the Devar Malchut. Here we go.